Dr. Amanda Clark pressed her face against the small window of the transport ship and watched as Nexus Prime grew larger in front of them. The space station was massive, bigger than any human structure she had ever seen. It looked like a giant metal flower with 4 arms reaching out into space. Each arm was the size of a city, and bright lights covered every surface. "First time seeing it?" asked Captain Ben Torres, the pilot of her transport. "Yes," Amanda replied, not taking her eyes off the station. "It's incredible," Captain Torres nodded. "Wait until you see the inside. 3 different alien species built it together. Each section is completely different." Amanda felt her stomach tighten with nervousness. She was about to become the first human to set foot on Nexus Prime. More importantly, she was Earth's only representative to the Galactic Council. The weight of that responsibility felt heavier than the books and data tablets in her travel bag. The journey from Earth had taken 3 weeks, even with their fastest ship. During that time, Amanda had studied everything humanity knew about the 3 major alien civilizations. The Vorthic Empire controlled the largest territory and had the strongest military. They were tall, reptilian creatures with thick, armor-like skin and sharp claws. The Selenian Confederation focused on trade and controlled most of the galaxy's shipping routes. They looked somewhat like giant insects with multiple arms and large compound eyes. The Ethereal Collective was the oldest civilization, and they claimed to be the most advanced. They appeared as floating beings made of energy and light, all 3. Species had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Humans had only developed faster than light travel 50 years ago. To the aliens, humanity was brand new and probably not very important. "Docking request approved," Captain Torres announced. "They're directing us to Bay 7 in the Human Quarter." "Human Quarter?" Amanda asked. "Yeah, they built a small section just for us when they heard we were coming. Nice of them, I guess." The docking process took 20 minutes. When the airlock finally opened, Amanda took a deep breath and stepped onto Nexus Prime. The air smelled different, with a metallic taste that reminded her of old coins. The gravity felt lighter than Earth normal, making each step feel like she might float away. A tall, thin figure approached her. It was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin was pale blue, and it had 4 arms instead of 2. Large black eyes dominated its face. "Dr. Clark, I presume." The figure said in perfect English, "I am Guide Feltar. I will show you to your quarters and then to the council chambers." "Thank you," Amanda said, trying to keep her voice steady. "It's an honor to be here." Feltar made a sound that might have been laughter. "The honor is ours, I am sure. Please follow me." They walked through corridors that constantly changed. One section had walls covered in growing plants that glowed with soft light. Another area looked like it was made entirely of crystal. The ceiling showed stars and planets moving in slow, beautiful patterns. Each species designed their own section, Feltar explained as they walked. The Vorthic prefer functional, military designs. The Selenians like their trading posts and markets. The Ethereals enjoy artistic and philosophical spaces. "What about the Human Quarter?" Amanda asked. "Simple, basic. We were not sure what humans would prefer, so we kept it minimal." They arrived at Amanda's quarters, which were indeed simple. The room had a bed, a desk, a chair, and a small window looking out at space. It felt more like a prison cell than diplomatic housing. "The opening ceremony begins in 2 hours, Feltar said. "I will return to escort you." When Feltar left, Amanda sat on the bed and opened her tablet. She reviewed her speech one more time, checking every word. Earth's leaders had worked for months on this presentation. They wanted to show that humans were peaceful, intelligent, and ready to join the galactic community. The speech talked about human achievements in art, science, and philosophy. It mentioned Earth's beautiful diversity of life and culture. Most importantly, it emphasized humanity's desire for friendship and peaceful cooperation with all species. 2 hours later, Feltar returned and led Amanda to the council chambers. The room was enormous, with a high ceiling that showed the swirling colors of a nearby nebula. 3 sections of seats faced a central platform where Amanda would give her speech. The Vortex section looked like a military command center. The reptilian aliens sat in rigid rows, their armor gleaming under the lights. Amanda could see their sharp teeth when they spoke to each other in harsh, clicking sounds. The Selenian section resembled a busy marketplace. The insect-like creatures moved constantly, their multiple arms gesturing as they traded information and made deals. Their compound eyes reflected the room's lights like tiny rainbows. The ethereal section seemed to float in the air. The energy. Beings drifted slowly above glowing platforms, their forms shifting and changing like colored smoke. They communicated without sound, their thoughts apparently shared directly. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," announced a mechanical voice. "We present Dr. Amanda Clark of the species known as humans from the planet called Earth." Amanda walked to the central platform, her heart beating fast. Hundreds of alien eyes watched her every move. She activated her speech tablet and began. "Honored members of the Galactic Council, I come before you today to request membership for humanity in your great civilization." A loud sound came from the Vortex section. It sounded like laughter, but harsh and mocking. Several of the reptilian creatures were showing their teeth in what Amanda hoped were smiles. She continued with her speech, describing human achievements and culture. Every few sentences, more interruptions came from the audience. The Vortex made clicking sounds that seemed dismissive. The Selenians buzzed among themselves in what sounded like amusement. Even the normally silent ethereals pulsed with colors that Amanda somehow knew expressed doubt. "Humans have created beautiful art and music," Amanda said, showing images on the room's large screens. "We have explored the deepest oceans and highest mountains of our world." "One world," said a deep voice from the Vortex section. A massive reptilian creature stood up. Golden markings on his armor showed high rank. "Humans control one small planet. The Vortex Empire spans 200 systems." "And yet," Amanda replied politely, "every civilization started with one world." More harsh laughter from the Vortex. "Did they also start by fighting constant wars with their own species?" Amanda felt heat rise in her cheeks. "Humans have had conflicts, yes. But we have also created lasting peace between former enemies. We have learned to work together." "For how long?" asked a buzzing voice from the Selenian section. A large insect-like creature with silver markings spoke without looking up from a glowing tablet. "Your species achieved spaceflight 50 years ago. Before that, you spent thousands of years killing each other. We have grown beyond that," Amanda said firmly. A shimmer of light from the ethereal section formed words in the air. "Growth requires time. Perhaps more time than such a young species possesses." The questions continued for hours. Every human achievement was dismissed as primitive. Every example of human progress was countered with examples of human violence. Amanda answered each challenge as best she could, but she could feel the mood of the room turning against her. Finally, the session ended. The three species would vote on humanity's application in private. Amanda was escorted back to her quarters to wait. As she sat alone in her small room, Amanda realized that she had failed. The aliens did not see humans as equals. They saw them as violent children who were not ready to join civilized society. She sent her report to Earth, knowing that the news would disappoint billions of people who had hoped for a new future among the stars. Outside her window, the lights of Nexus Prime continued to shine, but Amanda had never felt more alone. Amanda Clark had been on Nexus Prime for 3 weeks, and each day brought new frustrations. The opening ceremony had been just the beginning. Now she faced the real work of diplomacy, and it was proving much harder than anyone on Earth had expected. Every morning, she attended committee meetings where the three alien species discussed trade agreements, territorial boundaries, and technology sharing. As humanity's representative, Amanda was allowed to observe and ask questions, but she quickly learned that her opinions carried little weight. The Vortex treated her like a curiosity at best, a potential threat at worst. Commander Zethkar, the golden-marked reptilian who had challenged her during the opening ceremony, made no effort to hide his contempt. During one meeting about mining rights, he had pointed at Amanda with one of his sharp claws. "Why is the human here?" he had asked. "This discussion involves systems that humans cannot even reach." "Dr. Clark is an observer," replied Council Chairman Mortel, "an ancient ethereal whose light form flickered with patience. All potential members have the right to attend council sessions." "Potential members," Zethkar repeated with a hiss. "How long must we pretend that humans belong among civilized species?" Amanda had kept her face calm, but inside she felt anger growing. These aliens spoke about her as if she were not in the room, as if humans were animals being considered for a zoo rather than intelligent beings. Seeking friendship, the Selenians were more polite but equally dismissive. High Merchant Veltara, whose silver shell gleamed with embedded jewels, spoke to Amanda like a parent speaking to a child. "Human economics are so simple," she had said during a trade discussion. "One planet, one government, one currency, how charming. Perhaps in a few hundred years, when you have developed real complexity, we can discuss actual business." Amanda had tried to explain that Earth's economy was actually quite complex, with thousands of corporations, multiple currencies, and intricate global trade networks. But Veltara had simply buzzed with what Amanda now recognized as condescending. "Amusement? Oh yes, dear. I am sure it seems very complicated to you." The ethereals were the most frustrating of all. They spoke in riddles and philosophy, always suggesting that humans were too young and too violent to understand their advanced thinking. Elder Mordith, whose energy form pulsed with colors that supposedly showed deep wisdom, had become particularly annoying. "Violence shapes the human mind," he had stated during a cultural exchange meeting. "Their thoughts are clouded by aggressive instincts. Perhaps meditation and careful guidance could help them evolve beyond their primitive nature." "Humans are not primitive," Amanda had replied, fighting to keep her voice level. "We have art, literature, philosophy, and science that rivals anything in the galaxy." Rivals? Mordith's form had shifted to what Amanda now knew was the ethereal equivalent of laughter. "Child, we were writing poetry when your species was still learning to make fire." After each frustrating day, Amanda returned to her quarters and sent detailed reports to Earth. She described the aliens' attitudes, their dismissive comments, and their clear prejudice against humanity. She also noted their fear, which was becoming more obvious as the weeks passed. The aliens were afraid of humans, though they tried to hide it behind mockery and condescension. Amanda had learned this during a private conversation with Guide Feltar, who had become something close to a friend during her stay. "They monitor your homeworld," Feltar had whispered during one of their walks through the station's gardens. "Ships watch Earth from a distance. They know about your military buildup, your terraforming projects on other planets, your exploration fleets." "Those are peaceful activities," Amanda had protested. "We're preparing to colonize new worlds and explore the galaxy." "That is what frightens them," Feltar had replied. "In 50 years, humans went from one planet to controlling 12 systems. The Vorthak took 500 years to expand that far. The Selenians needed 300 years. Your species moves very fast." Amanda had felt a chill at those words. She was beginning to understand that the aliens were not just prejudiced against humans. They were actively working to keep humanity isolated and weak. The suspicion was confirmed when she requested permission to bring additional human representatives to help with the negotiations. The formal request had been simple and reasonable. Most civilizations sent multiple ambassadors to handle different aspects of galactic relations. The Council's response had been swift and firm: denied. "One representative is sufficient for preliminary discussions," Chairman Mortel had announced. "Additional humans are not necessary at this time." "But how can I handle trade negotiations, military treaties, and cultural exchanges all by myself?" Amanda had asked. "You cannot," Commander Zethkar had said with obvious satisfaction. "Which is why humans are not ready for council membership." Amanda had realized then that this was intentional. The aliens wanted her to fail. They had designed the process to be impossible for one person to handle. then used her inevitable struggles as proof that humans were not capable of galactic citizenship. That night, Amanda had sent an urgent message to Earth explaining the situation. She recommended that humanity consider other options besides peaceful negotiation. The aliens, she wrote, only seemed to respect strength and fear weakness. The response from Earth had been immediate and troubling. Admiral Jake Morrison, head of the Human Space Defense Force, had sent a personal message to Amanda. "We have been monitoring the situation through your reports," the Admiral had written. "Military command is prepared to take stronger action if necessary. Continue your diplomatic efforts, but know that you are not alone." Amanda had felt both relief and worry at those words. Relief that Earth was taking the situation seriously, but worry about what stronger action might mean the next. Few days had brought more of the same treatment. During a security briefing, the Vorthak had discussed human expansion patterns as if humanity were a disease spreading through the galaxy. The Selenians had openly joked about the primitive nature of human technology. The Ethereals had spent an entire session discussing whether humans even qualified as a truly sentient species. Amanda had endured it all with growing anger. She thought about the billions of humans on Earth and the colonies all hoping for a peaceful future among the stars. She thought about human artists and scientists, philosophers and explorers, all dismissed as primitive by aliens, who had never bothered to truly understand them. The breaking point came during a cultural presentation that Amanda had worked on. For days, she had prepared a comprehensive overview of human achievements from ancient art to modern technology. She had included music, poetry, scientific discoveries, and philosophical works. The aliens had barely paid attention. The Vorthak had talked among themselves about military matters. The Selenians had conducted trade negotiations via private communications. The Ethereals had floated in what appeared to be meditation, completely ignoring Amanda's presentation. When she finished, there had been a moment of silence. Then Commander Zethkar had spoken. "Interesting," he had said in a tone that suggested the opposite. "Perhaps in a few thousand years, humans will create something worth the Council's attention." Amanda had felt something break inside her. Months of preparation, weeks of humiliation, and endless patience had led to this moment. She was representing not just Earth, but every human who had ever dreamed of reaching the stars. "We already have," she had said quietly. The room had fallen silent. Even the Ethereals had stopped their meditation to focus on her. "I beg your pardon?" Commander Zethkar had said, his voice dangerous. "I said we already have created something." "Worth your attention," Amanda had repeated, her voice growing stronger. "Humans have created art that moves people to tears, science that unlocks the secrets of the universe, and philosophy that explores the deepest questions of existence. We have overcome centuries of division to work together for the common good. We have reached across the vast emptiness of space to offer you friendship and cooperation." She had stood up, facing the entire council. "But you are not interested in friendship. You are interested in keeping humanity weak and isolated because you fear what we might become. You dismiss our achievements because they threaten your sense of superiority. You speak of us as primitive while displaying the most primitive behavior. Of all, prejudice born of fear." The silence that followed had been deafening. Amanda had realized that she had probably just destroyed any chance of peaceful relations between humanity and the Galactic Council, but she had also realized that she did not care. These aliens had made their position clear. They would never accept humans as equals. They would always see humanity as a threat to be contained or a curiosity to be dismissed. As Amanda had returned to her quarters that night, she had sent one final message to Earth. "Diplomatic solution appears impossible. Recommend alternative approaches." The response had come within hours. Message received. Alternative approaches being prepared. Maintain position and await developments. Amanda had not known what those alternative approaches might be, but she had felt a grim satisfaction. The aliens thought they were dealing with one isolated human backed by a primitive civilization. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Amanda Clark stood in the council chambers, her hands trembling slightly as she reviewed her notes. Today's session was supposed to discuss territorial boundaries for new species joining the galactic community. For humanity, these boundaries would determine how far from Earth they could expand, and where they could establish colonies. The past week had been tense since her outburst defending human achievements. The alien delegates had treated her with even more coldness than before. That Amanda had received encouraging messages from Earth, telling her to stand firm and defend humanity's interests. Chairman Mortel S. Energy Forum flickered as he called the session to order. Today we discuss territorial allocation for species-seeking council membership. Dr. Clark, please present humanity's territorial requirements. Amanda activated her presentation tablet. The room's main display showed a three-dimensional map of local space, with Earth at the center and expanding spheres showing humanity's requested territory. Humanity requests recognition of our sovereignty over 12 star systems currently containing human colonies or research stations, Amanda began. We also request exclusive development rights to an additional 20 systems within 50 light years of Earth. The reaction was immediate and harsh. The vortex section erupted in clicking and hissing sounds. Several Selenians buzzed loudly with what Amanda recognized as outrage. Even the usually calm ethereals pulsed with agitated colors. Commander Zethkar rose from his seat, his massive reptilian form towering over the others in his section. His golden armor caught the light as he pointed one clawed finger at the display. 50 light years? He said, his voice filled with contempt. Humans have existed in space for barely 50 years, and they want 50 light years of territory? Those systems are mostly uninhabited, Amanda replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Humanity is not displacing any existing civilizations. Uninhabited by choice, hissed Zethkar. The Vorthek Empire has avoided expansion in that region for strategic reasons. We do not want aggressive neighbors near our core systems. High Merchant Veltara's multiple arms gestured dismissively. The economic requirements alone are impossible. A single planet species cannot maintain colonies across such distances. They lack the infrastructure, the technology, and the experience. Humans are already maintaining colonies in 12 systems, Amanda pointed out. Our infrastructure is growing rapidly. Growing too rapidly, pulsed Elder Mordith from the ethereal section. Such expansion shows the aggressive nature we have discussed. Wise species expand slowly, with careful consideration of their neighbors. Amanda felt her frustration building. Every point she made was dismissed or twisted into evidence of human aggression. She had spent months trying to be diplomatic, but these aliens had no intention of treating humanity fairly. Humanity's expansion has been peaceful, she said firmly. We have not attacked any other species or claimed any inhabited systems. We have followed all known protocols for territorial development. Peaceful for now, Commander Zethkar said with a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. But what happens when humans decide they want more? What happens when your primitive instincts override your temporary civility? Our instincts are not primitive, Amanda replied, her voice rising. Humans have evolved beyond the need for constant warfare. We seek cooperation and mutual benefit with all species. Evolved? Zethkar's laugh grew louder, and several other Vorthek joined in. Humans were fighting wars on their own planet until yesterday in galactic terms. You speak of evolution after 50 years of space travel? Amanda's hands clenched into fists. Yes, we were fighting wars, just like every other species did during their development. The Vorthek Empire was built through conquest. The Selenian Confederation expanded by forcing smaller species into trade dependence. Even the ethereals used military force to establish their early colonies. The chamber fell silent. Amanda realized she had just challenged the carefully maintained fiction that the three council species were naturally peaceful and civilized. Commander, Zethkar's eyes narrowed to glowing slits. You dare compare human barbarism to Vorthek military efficiency? I dare to point out that every species has a history of conflict, Amanda said, standing straighter. The difference is that humans learned from our mistakes and chose a better path. Chose? Veltara buzzed with what sounded like mockery. Or were forced to buy your limited resources and technology. We chose, Amanda said firmly. Just as we chose to come here seeking friendship instead of conquest. Just as we chose to send one diplomat instead of a fleet. One diplomat because that is all your pathetic civilization could afford to send? Zethkar snarled. No, Amanda said, her voice growing stronger. One diplomat because we believed in the possibility of peaceful cooperation. We thought we could earn your respect through honest negotiation and mutual understanding. Respect? Zethkar took a step toward the central platform where Amanda stood. Respect is earned through strength, human. Your species has shown only weakness. Amanda felt something snap inside her. Months of condescension, weeks of insults, and now direct threats to her and her entire species. She had tried patience, diplomacy, and reason. None of it had worked. If you think humanity is weak, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber, then you understand nothing about us. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Every alien delegate was now focused on Amanda and Commander Zethkar. I understand that humans are violent primitives who should be grateful for any attention from civilized species, Zethkar said, moving closer to Amanda's platform. And I understand that you are a bully who hides behind ancient prejudices because you are afraid of what humanity might become, Amanda replied. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. Amanda had just called the most powerful military leader in the Vorthek Empire a coward in front of representatives from across the galaxy. Commander Zethkar's response was swift and brutal. He moved faster than Amanda had thought possible for such a large creature. His armored hand struck her across the face with enough force to lift her off her feet and send her crashing into the wall behind the platform. Amanda hit the wall hard and fell to the floor, her vision blurring in pain, shooting through her head and ribs. She could taste blood in her mouth and feel wetness running down her face. The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens were shouting, others were buzzing or clicking in what might have been shock or approval. Through the chaos, Amanda heard Chairman Mortel calling for order. She tried to stand but fell back down as dizziness overwhelmed her. Her tablet had been shattered in the fall, its pieces scattered across the floor. One of her ribs felt broken, making each breath painful. Order! Chairman Mortel's voice cut through the noise like energy through matter. Commander Zethkar, return to your position immediately. Amanda looked up to see Zethkar standing over her, his claws still extended. There was no regret in his reptilian features, only satisfaction. The human needed to learn respect, he said calmly. I have provided that lesson. You have committed assault against a diplomatic representative, Amanda gasped, struggling to focus through the pain. I have disciplined an insubordinate primitive, Zethkar replied. The human insulted Vorthok honor. Such insults demand immediate correction. Amanda tried to respond but found herself coughing up blood instead. The pain in her chest was getting worse and her vision kept fading in and out. Medical personnel arrived quickly, non-human doctors with equipment Amanda did not recognize. They scanned her with handheld devices and spoke in rapid, clinical terms about her injuries. Severe concussion, 3 broken ribs, possible internal bleeding, one of them reported to Chairman Mortel. She requires immediate medical treatment. As they lifted Amanda onto a medical transport, she heard the council members already beginning to debate what had happened. Some called it an unfortunate diplomatic incident. Others suggested that Amanda had provoked the attack through her aggressive behavior. Commander Zethkar showed no concern about the consequences of his actions. Humans must learn their place in galactic society, he declared. Today's lesson was necessary and appropriate. In the medical bay, Amanda drifted in and out of consciousness as alien doctors worked to stabilize her injuries. Through the haze of pain and medication, she managed to activate her personal communicator and send an emergency message to Earth. The message was brief but complete. Assault by Vorthek commander during territorial negotiations. Severe injuries. Council treating incident as minor diplomatic error. Aliens refuse to acknowledge wrongdoing or provide justice. Recommend immediate action. Amanda's last conscious thought before the pain medication took full effect was a grim satisfaction. The aliens thought they had taught humanity a lesson about power and respect. They had no idea what lesson they had actually taught. They had just shown Earth that diplomacy was useless, that the Galactic Council would allow humans to be attacked without consequences, and that strength was the only language these species understood. Commander Zethkar thought he had struck one troublesome human. What he had actually done was declare war on humanity itself. Amanda's communicator continued transmitting her vital signs and location back to Earth, along with detailed recordings of everything that had happened in the council chamber. Ever. 2 days after the assault, Amanda Clark lay in the medical bay of Nexus Prime, her head wrapped in bandages and her ribs bound tight. The alien doctors had done their job well, but she still felt weak and dizzy. Every breath reminded her of Commander Zethkar's claws and the violence of his attack. The council had not visited her once. No apologies, no investigations, no consequences for the Vorthak commander who had nearly killed her. The official record stated that Amanda had suffered injuries during a diplomatic disagreement and that the matter was being reviewed. Amanda knew the truth. The review would find that she had provoked the attack through her aggressive behavior. The aliens would use this incident as further proof that humans were too violent and unstable for galactic civilization. She was staring at the ceiling, wondering if she would ever see Earth again, when alarms began blaring throughout the station. All personnel to stations, announced the station's computer system. Unidentified vessels approaching the system. All personnel to stations. Amanda pressed the call button beside her bed. A medical technician, one of the insect-like species she did not recognize, hurried over. What is happening? Amanda asked. Unknown ships detected at the edge of the system, the technician replied, checking the displays around Amanda's bed. Very large signatures, military vessels perhaps. Amanda felt her heart rate increase, though she was not sure if it was from hope or fear. Large military vessels could mean rescue, but they could also mean war. The alarms continued for hours. Amanda could hear increased activity in the corridors outside the medical bay. Voices spoke in urgent tones, though she could not understand most of the alien languages. Finally, Guide Feltar arrived. His usually calm demeanor was replaced by obvious anxiety. Dr. Clark, he said, his forearms moving nervously. I bring news from the command center. What kind of news? Amanda asked, trying to sit up despite the pain. Ships, Feltar said simply. Many ships, more than we have ever seen in one place. Amanda felt her pulse quicken. What kind of ships? Human ships, Feltar whispered. Over 200 of them. The words hit Amanda like another physical blow. 200 ships. Earth's entire space fleet numbered less than 300 vessels. Total. If 200 ships were here, then humanity had sent nearly everything they had. Are you certain? Amanda asked. Feltar nodded. They emerged from hyperspace 6 hours ago. The largest fleet ever assembled by any single species. They are requesting permission to dock. And what did the council say? Commander Zethkar is in charge of station security. He denied the request. Amanda closed her eyes, feeling a mixture of pride and terror. Humanity had come for her, but they were vastly outnumbered. The combined fleets of the three council species numbered in the thousands. 200 human ships, no matter how advanced, could not stand against such numbers. Feltar, Amanda said quietly, what do you know about human military capabilities? The guide's large eyes blinked rapidly. Very little. The Council has always assumed that human technology was primitive compared to our own. What if they were wrong? Before Feltar could answer, the station shuddered. It was not a violent shake, but a steady, rhythmic vibration that seemed to come from the docking bays. What was that? Amanda asked. Feltar's skin had turned a paler shade of blue. I do not know, but I should return to my duties. He left quickly, leaving Amanda alone with her thoughts and growing hope. The vibration continued, and she could hear new sounds in the corridors. Heavy footsteps. Different from the clicking of Vorthak claws or the light tapping of Selenian limbs, human footsteps. 30 minutes later, her medical bay door opened to admit the most beautiful sight Amanda had ever seen, a human face. The man was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing the dark blue uniform of the Human Space Defense Force. His rank insignia showed him to be an admiral. Behind him stood two more humans in military gear, their faces hidden behind combat helmets. "Dr. Clark," the admiral said, his voice carrying the authority of command, "I am Admiral Jake Morrison. We are here to bring you home." Amanda felt tears running down her cheeks. "Admiral, how many ships did you bring?" "Enough," Morrison replied, with a slight smile. "How are you feeling?" "Like I was hit by a Vorthak commander," Amanda said, managing a weak laugh. "But I will live." "Good," Morrison said, his expression growing serious. "Because we have work to do." The admiral moved to the window of the medical bay, which looked out onto one of the station's main corridors. Amanda could see the hallway was now filled with humans in military uniforms, their weapons clearly visible. "Admiral," Amanda said, "carefully, what exactly happened to station security?" "Commander Zethkar refused our docking request," Morrison explained. "So we made our own arrangements. You forced your way aboard?" "We asked permission to dock." "When permission was denied, we informed the station commander that we were not actually asking for permission." "We were being polite." Amanda stared at him. "You cut through their docking bay doors?" "Advanced plasma cutters," Morrison confirmed. "Very efficient." The station's security forces were given the option to stand down or be moved aside. Most chose to stand down. "And Commander Zethkar?" Morrison's smile was not friendly. "He chose differently. He is currently in our custody, along with his senior staff." Amanda felt a surge of satisfaction, followed immediately by worry. "Admiral, this could start a war. The Council species have thousands of ships." "Dr. Clark," Morrison said, turning back to her, "may I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you know what humanity's greatest advantage is over these alien species?" Amanda thought for a moment. "Our adaptability?" "No," Morrison said. "Our unity. When one human is threatened, all humans respond. When one human is attacked, all humans feel that attack." He gestured toward the corridor where more human personnel were moving with obvious purpose. "These aliens think in terms of governments and territories and political boundaries." They sent one representative to negotiate with one human, expecting that human to stand alone. "They do not understand that there is no such thing as one human when it comes to threats against our people." "But Admiral," Amanda said, "even with 200 ships we are still outnumbered." Morrison's expression grew serious. "Dr. Clark, what do you know about human military technology?" "Only what I read in the briefings. Advanced but not superior to Council technology." "The briefings were incomplete," Morrison said. "For security reasons, we allowed the aliens to underestimate our capabilities. They have been watching Earth for decades, but they have been watching our civilian technology and our oldest military hardware." Amanda felt a chill of understanding. "How advanced are we really?" "Advanced enough," Morrison replied. "Our ships are faster, our weapons are more powerful, and our defensive systems are beyond anything these species have seen. But most importantly, our coordination and tactical thinking are superior." Amanda absorbed this information slowly. "So when the Council species monitored Earth, they saw what we wanted them to see," Morrison confirmed. "Old destroyer designs, basic energy weapons, simple defensive grids. They never detected our stealth shipyards or our advanced research facilities." The station shuddered again, more violently this time. Through the medical bay's communication system, Amanda could hear alien voices speaking in urgent, panicked tones. "Admiral," one of Morrison's officers said through his communicator, "the Vorthak fleet is moving to intercept. 50 ships approaching." "From the second moon?" Morrison activated his own communicator. "Colonel Harper, are our defense screens operational?" "Yes, sir," came the reply. "All 200 ships are in defensive formation around the station. Enemy weapons will have no effect." Amanda stared at the admiral. "Defense screens? What kind of defense screens?" The kind that make energy weapons useless, Morrison said. Simply, Dr. Clark, these aliens have been fighting the same way for thousands of years. They use massive ships with powerful energy weapons to overwhelm their enemies. It works well against other species who fight the same way. But humans fight differently? Humans adapt, Morrison said. When we studied alien technology, we did not try to copy it. We tried to counter it. Our ships are smaller but faster. Our weapons are more precise but equally powerful. Our defenses are designed specifically to neutralize the weapon systems these species rely on. The communication system crackled to life with Chairman Mortel's voice. Human vessels, you are in violation of Galactic Council space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Morrison activated the room's communication panel. Chairman Mortel, this is Admiral Morrison of the Human Defense Force. We are here to retrieve our diplomatic representative and ensure her safety. Dr. Clark is receiving proper medical care, Mortel replied. Your military action is unnecessary and illegal. Dr. Clark was assaulted by a council member with no consequences, Morrison said, his voice growing cold. The care she should have received was protection from violence, not medical treatment after violence occurred. The incident was a diplomatic disagreement that got out of hand, Mortel protested. The incident was an unprovoked attack on a diplomatic representative, Morrison corrected. In human terms, that is an act of war. Silence followed those words. Amanda could feel the weight of them hanging in the air. You cannot be serious, came Commander Zethkar's voice, apparently speak. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching as Nexus Prime grew smaller on the main display. Around his flagship, 199 other human vessels maintained perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of the system's star. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Amanda Clark was resting comfortably. Her injuries healing and her mission completed in ways no one had expected. The journey back to Earth would take 3 weeks. But Morrison knew that the galaxy had already changed. Forever, behind them, Nexus Prime was in chaos as the 3 council species struggled to understand what had just happened. Admiral, reported Captain Lisa Harper from the communications station, we are receiving multiple transmissions from the alien fleets. What kind of transmissions? Morrison asked. Requests for negotiations, sir. The Selenians want to establish trade agreements. The Ethereals are asking for cultural exchanges. Even some Vorthak commanders are requesting military cooperation. Discussions. Morrison was not surprised. The demonstration of human capabilities had been more effective than any diplomatic presentation could have been. When the Vorthak fleet had attacked the human formation with their most powerful energy weapons, those weapons had simply stopped working. Human defensive screens had neutralized every shot, leaving the alien ships helpless and confused. The aliens had learned several important lessons in the past few hours. First, human technology was far more advanced than they had believed. Second, human military coordination was superior to anything they had seen before. Third, and most importantly, humans meant what they said when they promised to protect their own. Sir, Captain Harper continued, Chairman Mortel is requesting a direct communication with you. Put him through, Morrison said. The main display shifted to show the flowing energy form of the ethereal leader. Mortel's usual calm confidence had been replaced by obvious concern. Admiral Morrison, Mortel began, the Council wishes to discuss the recent events at Nexus Prime. I am listening, Morrison replied neutrally. The incident involving Dr. Clark was unfortunate and should not have occurred, Mortel said carefully. Commander Zethkar acted without Council authorization. His actions do not represent the official position of the Galactic Council. Morrison waited silently. He had learned long ago that silence was often the most powerful tool in negotiations. The Council is prepared to offer Dr. Clark a formal apology and to ensure that such incidents never happen again, Mortel continued. We hope that this unfortunate beginning can lead to better relations between humanity and the Council. Chairman Mortel, Morrison said finally, what has changed since yesterday? The Ethereal's energy form flickered with what Morrison had learned indicated confusion. I do not understand your question, Admiral. Yesterday, the Council considered humans to be primitive, violent, and unworthy of membership. Dr. Clark was assaulted, and the Council treated it as a minor diplomatic disagreement. Today you offer apologies and better relations. What has changed? Morrison knew the answer, but he wanted to hear Mortel say it. We have gained a better understanding of human capabilities, Mortel said carefully. You mean you have learned that humans are not as weak as you assumed, Morrison corrected. You have learned that human technology is more advanced than your intelligence report suggested. You have learned that attacking one human brings the response of all humans. Yes, Mortel admitted, we underestimated humanity. Morrison nodded. That was your first mistake. Your second mistake was believing that respect could be earned through weakness rather than strength. On the bridge around him, Morrison's officers listened to the conversation with obvious satisfaction. They had all seen Amanda's reports from Nexus Prime. They had all watched the recordings of alien delegates dismissing human achievements and mocking human aspirations. The fleet's response had been unanimous and immediate. Admiral, Mortel sighed, the Council recognizes that our previous approach was flawed. We would like to begin new discussions about humanity's place in galactic civilization. Our place? Morrison asked. Chairman, humanity does not need the Council's permission to exist in this galaxy. We do not need your approval to establish colonies or trade routes. We do not need your recognition to defend our interests. The ethereal's form pulsed with agitated colors. Surely you do not intend to operate outside the established galactic order? The established galactic order excluded humanity through prejudice and fear, Morrison replied. We will establish our own order based on mutual respect and fair treatment. That could lead to conflict, Mortel warned. Morrison smiled coldly. Chairman, conflict was always inevitable. The difference is that now it will be on our terms. The communication ended, leaving the bridge in thoughtful silence. Morrison knew that word of this conversation would spread quickly through the galactic community. The aliens would have to decide whether they wanted humans as allies or enemies. Admiral, Captain Harper said. Incoming message from the Selenian trade fleet. Let me guess, Morrison said. They want to discuss economic opportunities with humanity. Yes, sir. High Merchant Veltara is offering exclusive trading rights and preferential pricing on rare materials. Morrison laughed. The same High Merchant who told Dr. Clark that human economics were too simple to be worth discussing. The same one, sir. Decline the offer, Morrison said. Inform High Merchant Veltara that humanity will establish trade. Relationships with species who demonstrate genuine respect, not those who change their attitudes based on fear. As the human fleet continued its journey toward Earth, Morrison reflected on the events of the past few days. Amanda Clark had gone to Nexus Prime, hoping to earn humanity's place in galactic civilization through peaceful diplomacy. Instead, she had learned that the aliens only respected strength and feared weakness. The assault on Amanda had been intended as a lesson about humanity's place in the galactic order. Commander Zethkar had wanted to show that humans could be attacked and humiliated without consequences. The lesson had indeed been taught, but not the one Zethkar had intended. Humanity had learned that the galaxy operated on principles of power, rather than justice. The aliens had learned that humans possessed far more power than anyone had suspected. Sir, reported Lieutenant Dan Coleman from the sensor station, long-range scanners are detecting movement throughout the local systems. Multiple alien fleets are repositioning. Repositioning how? Morrison asked. Defensive formations, sir? It appears that several species are preparing for potential conflict. Morrison was not surprised. The demonstration at Nexus Prime had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Species that had felt secure under the protection of the Council's military might was suddenly questioning that security. If humans could neutralize Vorthic energy weapons and force their way onto a heavily defended station, what else might they be capable of? If humanity was willing to mobilize their entire fleet to protect one diplomat, how would they respond to actual threats against their colonies? Admiral, Captain Harper said, incoming priority message from Earth. The display changed to show President Sarah Martinez in the Situation Room beneath the Human Defense Command. Her expression was serious but satisfied. Admiral Morrison. She began, "Your actions at Nexus Prime have had the desired effect. Intelligence reports indicate that the alien species are re-evaluating their positions regarding humanity." "What kind of re-evaluation, Madam President?" Morrison asked. "Fear, mostly," Martinez replied with a slight smile. "It turns out that the aliens' own intelligence networks are just as flawed as their diplomatic assumptions. They had no idea of our true military capabilities." Morrison nodded. "The element of surprise was crucial to the operation's success. More than crucial, Admiral. It may have prevented a war. Our analysts believe that if the aliens had known our true strength from the beginning, they might have tried to eliminate humanity before we could become a threat. And now? Now, they know that any attempt to eliminate humanity would be costly beyond their willingness to pay," Martinez said. "You have bought us time and space to establish ourselves as an equal power in this galaxy. What are your orders?" "For the fleet, Madam President?" "Return to Earth and prepare for expanded operations," Martinez said. "Dr. Clark's mission was more successful than we had hoped, though not in the way we expected. She has shown us that diplomacy alone is not enough in this galaxy. We will need to back our words with strength." "Understood, Madam President." "Admiral," Martinez continued, "please convey our gratitude to Dr. Clark. Her courage and dedication under extremely difficult circumstances have opened a new chapter in human history." After the communication ended, Morrison made his way to the medical bay to check on Amanda. He found her sitting up in bed, reading reports on a tablet. "Dr. Clark," he said, "how are you feeling?" "Better, Admiral. The medical staff says I should be fully recovered by the time we reach Earth." She looked up at him with a mixture of sadness and determination. "I failed, didn't I? The diplomatic mission was a complete failure." Morrison sat down in a chair beside her bed. "Dr. Clark, your mission was to establish humanity's place in galactic civilization. You have succeeded beyond our most optimistic expectations. But the negotiations failed. Humanity is not joining the Galactic Council." "No," Morrison agreed.